Hi. Got wisdom? Need some? Put me down for Wisdom 101, would you please? I've been in one of God's wisdom books in the scriptures, Proverbs, recently. And because I find myself at such a deficit, thrown into this coronavirus dwell period where I'm not at my day job. My pastoral ministry has taken on a whole different complexion, which has thrown me topsy-turvy. And so I've been combing through Proverbs, seeking practical advice and wise living. And I come to chapter 30, where the authors switch on me. Most of Proverbs is authored by Solomon. Come chapter 30, the words of Agur. Who's Agur? You look up Agur in a dictionary, online, whatever, and you find out that there's very little known about this man. May well be a non-Hebrew. Could be from Arabia. And the way in which he describes himself. Verse 2, I am more stupid than any other person, and I lack a human's ability to understand. Can you imagine this fellow sitting down for a job interview, and the prospective boss has his resume in his hands, and the opening statement there at the top, right underneath his name, is, I'm the biggest dummy you can possibly find in the world. And now he's offering you and me wisdom. I love God's word. Well, the passage that I want to look at with you is a prayer of his, which is the first of 6 numerical sayings that he offers. What do I mean by that? Well, this prayer, and it starts in verse 7, is 2 things I ask of you. He's talking to God. 2 things I ask of you. That's the first numerical saying. The next one is verse 15. The leech has 2 daughters. Verse 18. 3 things are too wondrous for me. Verse 21. The earth trembles under 3 things. Verse 24. There are 4 things on earth that are small and yet exceedingly wise. Verse 29. 3 things are stately in their stride. So let's look at this first of 6 numerical sayings, which is a prayer. Man, I'll tell you what, this is like the most wise prayer that anybody could recite to God. And if this doesn't fit this coronavirus dwell period, this coronavirus plague, I don't know what prayer does fit. So, starting in verse 7, 2 things I ask of you. Don't deny them to me before I die. Keep falsehood and deceitful words far from me. Give me neither poverty nor wealth. Feed me with the food that I need. Otherwise I might have too much and deny you, saying, Who is the Lord? Or I might have nothing and steal, profaning the name of my God. Now let's just review this. 2 things I ask of you. The first is this, verse 8. Please keep falsehood and deceitful words far from me. It's a heartfelt petition for a clean, pure heart that's not polluted with guile, with deceitfulness, a deceptive kind of a characteristic. Please keep falsehood and deceitful words far from me. Protect me. God, please protect me from lies. Keep me from being a liar. I know, God, that your word says all men are liars. I've been a liar. I'm asking you now in this prayer, please keep me back from this most gross, heinous folly, which is so unlike God. God is true. God is faithful. You can count on everything that God says. You know, the best way I can illustrate a prayer, a plea for a pure and truthful heart is by sharing with you the deceptiveness of one particular man, one particular ministry, and that is Benny Hinn. Benny Hinn is one of many word of faith healing ministries that are out there in the internet. Benny Hinn has been plying his trade for almost 40 years and is one of the most notorious of the TV evangelist ministries that suck money out of sincere people looking for healing. This man, his name is Hinn. His last name is Hinn. He is Benny Hinn's nephew, and first name is Costi. Costi Hinn. This, by the way, this very video is now on our church website. So look for it right beneath this particular video that you are now watching, because this man was one of those working together with his uncle in this Benny Hinn's ministries, and he's now a pastor. He's now a preacher who is denouncing his uncle's fraudulent ways. And to put a face with those who have been impacted by Benny Hinn's deception and fraud, this gal, whose name is Grace. Grace is a disabled girl, and she's featured in that video, by the way, on exposing the insider video, exposing Benny Hinn's fraudulent ministry. Grace is just a precious girl who is terribly disabled, but went to Benny Hinn's healing ministry and found that those who were genuinely disabled, I mean severely disabled, were screened out. They weren't even allowed on stage. When you see that, and it's only 14 minutes, by the way, when you view that, you'll walk away with a better appreciation for the how dark, how deceptive, how awful is this very thing that Agur is asking God to keep him back from, to protect him from. Please keep falsehood and deceitful words far from me. I don't want to have anything to do with Benny Hinn or even a smattering of that kind of falsehood in my heart. The second part of Agur's prayer is it comes in the way of, please provide for me. The first thing he asks is, please protect me. And now, verse 8, the second portion, please provide for me. Give me neither poverty nor wealth. Please feed me with the food that I need. Please give me my prescribed portion. It's sort of a Old Testament way of saying that New Testament quote from the Lord's Prayer. Give us this day. Please grant me today my daily bread. But don't give me too little or too much, because either one of those will result in a most unsavory kind of behavior on my part. Verse 9, because otherwise I may have too much. If you provide me with too much, I'll deny you, and I'll say, "Who's the Lord?" I'll be full. I'll be fat and happy, and independent and self-sufficient. What will happen to me is the very thing that you warned about, God, in Deuteronomy to Israel. Deuteronomy, I'm flipping to chapter 8 and verse 12. God warned Israel, you know what? When you get into the promised land, and that land flowing with milk and honey, and you get all settled down, you start building and so forth, there's a danger. There's a danger. Deuteronomy 8, verse 12. I might pick it up in verse 11. Be careful. Be careful that you don't forget the Lord your God by failing to keep his commandments and his ordinances and statutes that I'm giving you today. Verse 12. When you eat and are full, and build beautiful houses to live in, and your herds and your flocks grow large, and your silver and your gold multiply, and everything else that you have increases, be careful that your heart doesn't become proud and you forget the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the place of slavery. That's the result, the human result from opulence that just happens. And here Agur is asking God, please don't let me have too much, because I'll deny you and I'll disown you, and and he says, in the other side of the coin, please don't give me neither poverty nor wealth. The poverty aspect. I might have nothing and steal and thus profane the name of my God. Life is very delicate, and I'm ever so vulnerable and susceptible. And God, I really need you to keep me from being a liar, and to keep me from having too much or too little. It reminds me of the Lord's. The Lord is my shepherd, Psalm 23. I shall not want. I shall not be in want. He provides me with everything that I need. That we would just trust Him for that. Trust Him. But we need this wisdom. We need this wisdom to act upon, to apply these principles to our hearts, to walk as wise and not foolish, and just trust Him, especially now. So you'll find that video of The Insider right underneath this one. Check it out and get acquainted with this precious girl, Grace, and Benny Hinn's nephew. And you'll see how Benny Hinn's corrupt ministry has impacted these two individuals, and I think that both of those individuals are probably very familiar with this prayer. I doubt Benny Hinn is familiar with this prayer, but I think that those two, Benny Hinn's nephew and Grace, I think that they're living this prayer. May we also. You have a good day.